Good afternoon, everyone. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here with the live news roundup to bring you updates on the big stories today, and we're going to be taking your comments and questions on the air, as we always do on the news roundup. So get your comments in. Write to me on Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter. Let me make sure my graphic is fixed. There it is. At Lookner on Twitter, as you can see on the screen. And thank you for joining us today. And thanks also to our moderators. We got our moderators in our chat rooms. Really appreciate it, moderators. Thank you. And hello, everybody watching. Rob Van Roy and Jan Porter, Chris Froller, everybody else there on YouTube. Linda Belk moderating. Noli Wee Hill in our Periscope chat. Hello there. Hello to Twitch and Facebook viewers as well. Hang on a second here. Death Squad. Yeah, Death Squad, I already tweeted about that. We're going to talk about it. Already tweeted about it. Yeah, so this just came out right as we were coming on the air. The first UK variant case in the US that just came out. First UK variant case. There's that new strain that's been mostly associated with the UK. Well, there's a case in Colorado. I'm not particularly surprised. Jared Polis, governor of Colorado. Today we discovered Colorado's first case of the COVID variant, the same B117, the same variant discovered in the UK. So that's going on. Try to get some more information on this. This is this new strain that has mostly been seen in the UK, but it's been seen in some other countries as well. And UK officials believe that it spreads a lot faster than the previous strains. But that's still being researched, whether it does or not. It's not believed right now that it's more deadly, or it makes, it's more deadly, but or that it makes people sicker than the previous strain. But we'll have to see. The research is being done on that. Here, let me show you some more on that. Let me show you some more. Thanks, by the way, to Voyage for your support from the UK. I really appreciate it, Voyage. Thank you, Voyage. Here. New, more contagious variant confirmed in Colorado. Denver Post. Colorado public health officials confirm the presence of the new variant of the virus first discovered in the UK, saying the state is the first to identify the strain in the US. The variant is believed to be more contagious, but not more severe in symptoms than previous strains. Colorado's state lab confirmed the presence of the strain in an Elbert County man in his 20s. The person is isolating and has no travel history. Has no travel history. Did the B&O Post say that? Yeah, oh yeah, I already tweeted this. Yeah, the man is 20 with no travel history. So that would suggest that other people have it as well. If he has no travel history and he didn't get it from the UK, well, it's very likely that there's other people in the US that have it. Melissa thinks it's likely all over the US by now. It's the thing is that it's not very common. I don't know how common it is in the U.S., but it's not like everybody who gets tested and everybody who gets confirmed to have the virus doesn't get their virus strain genomically sequenced. The UK does that more than most other countries do. So it's not like what strain you have is frequently checked in the U.S. So it's possible that lots of other people have it and it's just not been detected yet. Castro said Australia had a case from the UK yesterday, a resident who back arrived from South Africa. Yeah, there's been some different cases found in different countries of this. Marie says, first known case. Probably many cases here since they finally are testing for it. Yeah, first detected case. Tom Lavelle says, no surprise. Little Boo Radley, they actually can actually do procedures which allow them to see what the genetic information is in the strain, and they can ascertain that it's the same strain. Christian says, do we know if the vaccine will work on the new strain? We don't know for sure, but a lot of experts believe it will. Maybe it'll be a little less effective. We don't know that. But all that is being tested right now, so we don't know for sure. But many experts I've seen think it will. Just trying to find some more about that. Hang on. UK had record number of cases today. Things continue to get worse there. I'm just checking for some updates on that story. Give me one sec here. Dr. Tom Frieden posted this. If I can find it for you. He is a former CDC director. Tom Frieden said, B.1.1.7 variant is here in the U.S. with community spread because the person who has it in Colorado has no travel history. Inevitable, concerning, full implications not yet clear. What you hope doesn't happen is that in the U.S. you have a lot more people getting it now because there's evidence suggesting that this new strain spreads much easier. Hey, thank you, Shaft ZX, for your support. Shaft says, I tested positive for the virus and now quarantine at home. Also, I took the vaccine the day before my test. Been working on ventilators that were used on COVID patients. Either way, off work until cleared. Well, Shaft, I wish you the best during your quarantine, and I hope your symptoms are not serious, and I hope you are clear of it soon. So, you got the vaccine, but I guess, well, the vaccine, it takes weeks, I guess, for it to actually build up your immunity. Also, it's not, taking a vaccine, it's not 100%. The vaccines are not supposed to be 100% effective anyway. So, but hopefully, in a couple weeks or whatever, you're clear and you're immune and all that. So, at least for a time. Thank you, Shaft. I'm wishing you well. Shaft is in the chat right now. So we'll see what happens with this new strain. So I'm just checking to see any more updates on that. If you're hearing more updates, give me a shout on Twitter @Lookner. So to repeat, the first known case of the new UK strain has been found in the US in Colorado, a man in his 20s with no travel history, which would suggest there's community spread going on because he wouldn't have gotten it from being there. Oh, thank you, Chris Froller. Thank you, Chris. Now, Chris says, our viewer says, I tested positive too, day 7 of my quarantine, and I still feel really rough. Wow. That's our viewer, Chris. Chris, I wish you the best and speediest of recoveries. A number of our viewers have tested positive. We've had some viewers hospitalized. Thank you, Chris. Be well. Thank you, Saranya C. as well. Saranya says vaccine was designed to prevent severe disease, not stop one from getting a mild or asymptomatic case. People must still mask, but at least no severe disease. So it's not clear. Basically, the vaccines are designed to keep you from getting sick. As to whether I don't know about keep you from getting, definitely designed to keep you from getting severely sick, but I believe they're just in generally, I don't remember in the vaccine trials, I believe if you had mild symptoms, you still counted as having symptoms. But anyways, that being aside, something Saranya points out is that the vaccines, the current ones like the Pfizer and the Moderna, are not designed to prevent transmission. So it is not known whether they prevent transmission. So in theory, you could get vaccinated and be protected from getting sick, but still have the virus in you and give it to somebody else. That's why Saranya is saying people must still mask. So because these current batch of vaccines that are being given out now, it's not known whether they stop the virus from transmitting. For all you know, you can take the vaccine, be protected from getting sick, but still have the virus in you and give it to somebody else. Thank you, Saranya. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Oh, here's another article about... hold on 1 second. Let me just do this real quick. Yeah, see, CDC says based on evidence, the Pfizer vaccine was 95% effective at preventing lab-confirmed COVID illness. Now, I don't know. I thought that included more mild symptoms as well, not just severe symptoms, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive. Here's another article here. First case of highly infectious virus variant detected in Colorado. We were just talking about this. Here's a different article. This is from the Washington Post. Colorado officials reported the first known case in the U.S. of a person infected with the mutation-laden virus variant that's been circulating rapidly across much of the U.K. The case involves a male in his 20s with no travel history. The individual has no close contacts identified so far. Now, they're trying to figure out who else was in contact with him, so who else might have it. Researchers have now detected this new strain in at least 17 countries outside the UK, including as far away as Australia and South Korea. Officials in Canada previously identified 2 cases. In almost all instances of the cases detected in other countries so far, these cases have been in people who traveled from the UK. And there is no sign so far that the variant is spreading rapidly in these other countries, including the U.S. However, I don't know how many people how much sequencing they're doing. Not everybody, most people who get tested and get the virus don't get tested for what strain they have. While the variant appears to spread more rapidly, it does not make people sicker or more likely to die, scientists in the UK reported late Monday. Oh, did they say that today? I didn't even see that. I'll have to see that. Nor is there any sign that people who were infected months ago with the virus are more likely to be reinfected if exposed to the new strain, according to the report. Oh, I didn't even see this. Scientists believe the new strain will not escape the immune response incited by vaccines. They basically believe that the vaccines will work on the new strain, but it does appear to be more transmissible. The appearance of the new strain and the new variant in the U.S. is not a surprise. Officials have been saying since last week that it was likely already present, but simply undetected. I'm not surprised, said Dr. Fauci. Where is this report? Oh, investigation. I didn't even know that this came out. This new report came out. Hang on. I hadn't even seen that story. According to the new UK report, the variant has a higher attack rate, which bolsters the hypothesis that the variant has outcompeted other versions of the virus and is now the dominant variant across much of the UK. Among people known to have been exposed to somebody already infected with the new strain, 15.1% become infected. People exposed to someone infected with the non-new strain version had a 9.8% infection rate. So that would suggest that this new strain might be roughly 50% more transmissible. The difference suggests the new strain is more transmissible, though the health agency said more investigation is needed to bolster the hypothesis. It's not sure yet. The newly published data echo the findings in a separate study published last week, not yet peer-reviewed, that estimated the new strain is 56% more transmissible, but does not appear to alter the lethality of the virus. So there you go. The first new case, new strain, new variant case detected in the U.S. in Colorado. Give me a shout at Lookner if you have comments, questions. Still kicking, says variant now found in 3 provinces in Canada. Darcy Hayford says, I am just now getting over the virus and it was no fun. I'm glad to hear you're starting to feel better. Conspiracy Kitty says, why are there 2 channels on YouTube? I will direct your attention to the video I posted about this. On YouTube, there's 2 channels. On all the other platforms, there's 1 channel. So if you go to YouTube, go to Agenda Free TV, look, introducing Agenda Free TV 2. You can go watch this video on Agenda Free TV. The important point is, if you watch on YouTube, there are 2 channels. I do some lesser known stories on this channel and some other stuff. On the other platforms, it's 1 channel. On YouTube, it's 2 channels. If you like Agenda Free TV, you should subscribe to Agenda Free TV 2 on YouTube and vice versa. Hang on. Let me just check something here. Okay. Lynn Downey says she's getting a winter and ice storm, snow and ice storm in Iowa. Stay safe, Lynn. Nice picture. Hang on. There's a story that came out yesterday that I wanted to talk about. which is related to the virus. Which is about Russia admitting that I think they had 3 times as many COVID deaths than they were saying. Big surprise. Big surprise. If you watched our coverage, you might recall me saying over and over again that I did not buy Russia's numbers and that I did not buy the numbers from a lot of other countries. But there's been a lot of articles written about how Russia's death toll from the virus seemed strangely low. Well, new data triples Russia's COVID death toll. Triples! The Statistics Agency said 230,000 more people died through November of this year than died in 2019, a hike attributable to the virus. Russia could jump to third among countries by number of COVID deaths. It's just, remember when Russia invaded Crimea and they denied that their soldiers were there? And then years later, Putin finally admitted it. It's typical Russia. Typical garbage. After months of New York Times, after months of questions over the true scale of the virus pandemic in Russia and the efficacy of a Russian-developed vaccine, the state statistical agency in Moscow has announced new figures indicating that the death toll from COVID is more than 3 times as high as officially reported. More than 3 times as high. And they didn't know this before. Now, you might wonder, why are they admitting it at all? I mean, I'm guessing what happens is if they never admitted it at all, it would just be so glaring. So this is like the way they can say we weren't lying, even though they were. From the start of the pandemic, the health crisis has been enveloped and, say critics, distorted by political calculations by Putin, and Kremlin-controlled media outlets have repeatedly boasted of Russian successes in combating the virus and keeping the fatality rate relatively low. The release of the data received little coverage on state media, and the news was crowded out by upbeat reports ahead of a lengthy national holiday to celebrate the new year. The government, ignoring the new figures from the Statistics Agency, has left unchanged its low COVID death count. There was no sign the new numbers would create a scandal in Russia, as would be expected in many countries, following a sudden 3-fold increase in the number of dead. Again, this is the state statistical agency said the actual number was over 3 times more than they were saying before. The official death count in Russia, which undercounts corona fatalities, is based on a narrow definition of who's died from the virus and has frequently diverged from the real number reflected in figures issued by the Statistics Agency. A demographer at a government agency who had questioned the official fatality figures, dismissing them as far too low, was fired over the summer. The data issued by the State Statistics Agency indicated the demographer was right and the real number of fatalities is far higher than previously reported. So anyways. Who knows? And I don't even know if the number they're saying is correct. The gap between the official death rate and the real one is largely explained by Russia's practice of recording a death as virus-related only in cases where an autopsy has confirmed the virus as the main cause. Critics say this has allowed the authorities to massage the numbers. Instead of comforting the population, however, juggling with the statistics has only fed the deep mistrust many Russians have toward their government, even among those who vote for Putin. That's a big increase. That's a big increase. Underdog Rising says, I've chatted with some folks in Russia. No one actually believes the numbers reported by their government. Fawn Spy says, so are we to believe their vaccine research data now? Yeah, I mean, they claim they have a vaccine, but their data for that has not been openly released. in terms of data scientists would need to verify their claims that the vaccine works. So I have no idea if their vaccine does anything at all. Smedley says Russia is camouflaging the news by burying it around the new year. Hang on a second here. Hey, you can write your comments to me at Lookner on Twitter is where you can reach me. Apocalypse says somebody gonna fall out of a window tomorrow in Russia. I mean, it just seems to me that generally speaking, you'd expect roughly, if they had a certain amount of people getting it, you'd expect a roughly similar fatality rate there than in other countries. But for months, people have been questioning the death numbers because their fatality rate compared to cases was so low. That's the Guardian headline. Where is, here it is, my pen. Crispy has an interesting thought. Crispy says they probably wanted to increase the death count in Russia to put pressure on people to take the vaccine. Ugh. Hold on a second here. Hang on. Hold on. A couple of our viewers mentioned the Croatia earthquake. I think it was a 6.3. Robert Kennedy mentioned it. And who else mentioned it? Somebody else sent me a message about it. Trying to find it. Outside Insider. (6.4). There was a 6.4 earthquake in Croatia. That was this morning, morning U.S. time. Let's see. Croatia hit by 6.4 earthquake, leaving at least 7 dead. Oops. CNN, at least 7 people were killed and dozens were injured after a powerful 6.4 quake struck central Croatia. It struck noon Croatia time, just after noon Croatia time. The largest quake to hit Croatia this year. Petrinja, Mayor. It happened about 2 miles from Petrinja. And Petrinja is a city of how many people? 24,000 people. happened 2 miles from a 24,000 person town. The mayor of Petrinja told CNN affiliate N1 that the town of nearly 25,000 people was going through hell after the earthquake and had no running water or electricity. He has requested emergency aid. Let me show you the USGS report on that. There it is. 2 miles from Petrinja. Just 2 miles. That happened at, looks like about 6 this morning or something. 6:19 this morning, I think, Eastern time, if I have that right. Because universal time now is what? Yeah, it's 5-hour difference. That happened at 6:19 this morning. A lot of people reported feeling it. Actually, a lot of people reported strong shaking. That's the shake map from USGS, where people write in and they say what kind of shaking they felt. And yellow is strong and orange is very strong. So you see a bunch of people saying they felt strong or very strong shaking there. How far away was that from other cities? Say 6.4. Hold on a second, I need to find this. Where is the next magnitude 5? Croatia. It was only actually Zagreb. Is Zagreb the capital of Croatia? Zagreb is Croatia's northwestern capital. It was only about 25 miles from Zagreb. Then USGS also says, so we've heard 7 people are dead. The USGS estimate, based on like the population distribution and what they know about the country, they estimated that the most likely scenario is between 1 in 10 or 10 in 100 dead. Estimated economic losses, they estimate between $100 million and $1 billion. Orange alert for economic losses. Significant damage is likely and the disaster is potentially widespread. Probably because it was so close to a city, a town. And they said this is a state. They thought there'd be very strong shaking in Petrinja with 14,000 people, and then Sisak, they said they estimated strong shaking. So it just this occurred near some cities and towns. You know, sometimes you see stronger earthquakes with this, where these are green estimates of they don't estimate anyone died and don't estimate that much economic loss. But this was right near a town of 25,000 people. Let me go back to the map here. Interactive map. See, you can see it's also it's right near Petrinja. Hang on. It's right near Petrinja and not that far from Sisak. And Sisak, how many people does Sisak have? $50,000 people live in Sisak. So it's very close to a couple of large towns. Wow. This is DW. Deadly earthquake causes huge damage. The search through the rubble for survivors is ongoing. Something else with earthquakes is, unfortunately, mayor says half the city no longer exists. Petrinja mayor says, my town has been completely destroyed. We have dead children. This is like Hiroshima, half the city no longer exists. Something else I'd be interested in knowing is, what are the buildings, how are the buildings built there? Are they not built that well? Should say here, actually. I think. Ground failure. Liquefaction estimate, significant area exposed. What's this here? No. Liquefaction. Liquefaction triggered by this earthquake is estimated to be significant in severity and or spatial extent. That's when during an earthquake, the ground can lose its hardness and become like liquid. That's interesting. They estimate that between 10 and 100,000 people were living in areas that could have had liquefaction. Like houses can collapse or they can float away. It's crazy. Here's the thing about the... they should have something in here about what the buildings are like in the area. Where do they list that? Oh, here. Overall, the population in this region, this is the problem. This is important here with this Croatia earthquake. Overall, the population in this region resides in structures that are vulnerable to earthquake shaking, though resistant structures exist. The predominant vulnerable building types are mud wall with wood and unreinforced brick with mud construction. So this happened, just a couple miles from a city with 25,000 people, but a lot of the buildings in the area are not, built to be earthquake resistant. Unfortunately, with quakes, like the death toll can go up days after it happens. I mean, we're only 5 hours after it. I wouldn't be so. I've seen earthquakes before where after a day it goes way up. That's not good. I'll have to keep an eye on that because that looks not good. How do you spell Petrinja? Am I saying it wrong? I think Petrinja, P-E. Here's this account called Croatia Full of Life. They say a strong earthquake hit central Croatia and caused severe damage. Many people are still looking for their loved ones. So these are some photos that they posted. Hang on. But if the buildings aren't built to withstand it, that can be a problem. Mark Starkiller says, I felt this earthquake today and I live 200 miles from affected area. This person, T. Horvatic, posted this screenshot. They said Petrinja has significant damage. A man was safely extracted from his vehicle. Look at that. Then Joyce Karam posted this. Sky News had posted A video, young boy pulled out of rubble. But you just see the damage there, too. Look at that. Again, you can see, 6.4 is big, but sometimes you'll see a 6.4 and you just don't see that much damage. Bricks and stuff. Just terrible. Denise says lots of old structures in Croatia. Nellie says, I felt it in Slovenia, 9th floor. Actually, if we go to the Did You Feel It map here, you can see people feeling it in Italy. Italy, people felt it lightly. Serbia, Hungary, Slovakia, Czechia. Maybe even some people in Germany felt it too. Actually, some people in France say they felt it. All the blue squares are where people felt light shaking. Not good. I'll have to keep an eye on that because, again, unfortunately with earthquakes, it can take a while to really assess the damage and to find people who've passed away or survived. So that's not good. Thoughts there being Croatia. That's not good at all. Holly says shallow earthquake equals more damage. Yeah, it said it was pretty shallow. It was 10 kilometers deep. Some of the deeper ones can be over 100 kilometers deep. Yeah, USGS says shallow is between 0 and 70 kilometers deep. This one was only 10 kilometers deep. You'll get more strong shaking on the surface with shallower earthquakes. Thanks, by the way, to Francois Johnson. I'll be checking my messages in a moment. People getting 5 doses of vaccine. I haven't heard anything about that, Francois Johnson. I'll have to check. Thank you also, Patrick Davis, for your support. I appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you. Have I considered doing a podcast? I unfortunately just don't really have the time right now. I'm kind of on the air so much doing this coverage that doing a podcast would just, I think, be, I have to balance how much I love the idea of doing it. It's just, time, balancing time doing this and everything else. So for the moment, no, but you never know. Also, Francois, I don't see your message here. I've been looking at my Twitter messages. I don't see your message. So maybe resend it. @Lookner on Twitter is where to reach me. I can look it up. I see one thing in Brussels Times. I don't know what Brussels Times is. What is Brussels Times? Let me first see what that is. Wikipedia says it's an English language Belgian news website and magazine. Okay. I don't know anything about it. It's a little weird that I only see it in one publication. Sean says it's a famous newspaper. Again, I literally only see the thing in that one paper. So I don't like, reporting on things that aren't being widely reported. They say again, I don't know if the story is true. They say 8 employees of a German nursing home were mistakenly given 5 doses of the vaccine. I don't know why that would happen. Oh, is what happened that the only thing I can imagine is that the vials of the vaccine contain more than 1 dose. So the only way, I guess what somebody could do is, if they didn't know any better, they could give somebody the entire vial rather than giving them a fifth of the vial. Yeah, the vaccine is delivered in a vial that, when diluted, was intended to provide 5 doses. So I'm guessing maybe if this happened, it was something like that, where they gave somebody 1 vial's worth, which is supposed to be multiple doses. Elizabeth said they gave them the entire vial. That's my guess as to why that happened. Stellar says The Independent also has an article. I hadn't seen that anywhere. I could believe that. Of all the people around the world getting it, all it takes is, 1 person to make a mistake. I didn't realize that the vials, that they diluted it. I was thinking that the vials contained 5 doses itself. But I guess they have to dilute it. Here, vaccine. Oh, now this is from idsociety.org. I don't know this site. Brought to you by CDC. All right, well, it looks like it says brought to you by CDC. But what it says, though, is it does say here that the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine must be thawed and diluted prior to administration. Vials may be thawed in the fridge. Dilute the vial contents. I guess they just didn't dilute it. Give me a shout on Twitter @Lookner with your thoughts. Oh, I got to thank our moderators, by the way. Thank you to the moderators. Really appreciate it, mods. Thank you. We got Sarah55 is moderating. Lynn G, thank you. Mark Helton, Sarah Joy, thank you. Linda is moderating in our Periscope chat. Linda Belk, thank you. Thanks to our Facebook and Twitch moderators too. Idaho Star moderating. Daily Disclosure, Tariag. Chris Catt says multi-dosage vials feed into anti-vaxxer propaganda about preservatives. They have terrible public health optics. That's what Chris says. Lee Lewis says the vial contains 5 doses. Ron says they have found some have 7. Yeah, some of the, we talked about this a while back, but sometimes there's extra stuff in the vial. There's enough in the vial to make extra doses. Hey, thank you, Yelena Murphy, for the Facebook stars. That's very kind of you, Yelena Murphy. Thank you. I appreciate that, Yelena. Thanks so much. Speaking of vaccines, there's been some stories coming out about the pace of the vaccine distribution in the U.S. The actual numbers are like way slower than was originally anticipated, but it's not clear how many people have been given the vaccine because there's like delays in the numbers. Let me show you something about that. Let me show you something about that. Hey, thank you, Jeannie P. I appreciate that, Jeannie. Jeannie says, my prayers are with the people of Croatia today. Thank you, Jeannie. Yeah, we were talking about the Croatia earthquake. Not good. And I worry we're going to hear worse numbers from there. This is an opinion piece by Liana Wen, who is I believe she is a doctor. I can show you her profile. I follow her for coronavirus news. Yeah, she is a doctor. Visiting professor, George Washington Public Health ER physician. So she talks about these numbers. And now it's not really clear exactly how many people have been vaccinated in the U.S. so far, but the numbers seem to be smaller than initially anticipated. The CDC reported Monday that 2.1 million doses have been administered in 2 weeks. While this might sound impressive, it should set off alarms. Let's do the math. Dr. Fauci estimates 80 to 85% of Americans need to be vaccinated to reach herd immunity. Both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines require 2 doses. 80% of the American population is around 264 million people, so we would need to administer 528 million doses to achieve herd immunity. And right now, the official number is 2.1 million. At the current rate, it would take the U.S. approximately 10 years to reach that level of inoculation. Now, first of all, there's going to be more vaccine supply available. Second of all, the actual numbers, which she actually says, are probably higher than 2.1 million. But the overall point here is it's not going very fast. Earlier this month, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar predicted that every American would be able to get the vaccine by the second quarter of 2021, which would be the end of June. The speed needed to do that is 3.5 million vaccinations a day. A day. If you're going to get to every American getting the vaccine by end of June. There is reason to believe the administration won't be able to ramp up vaccination rates anywhere close to those levels. Yes, as vaccine production increases, more will be available to the states. Also, Brett Giroir, the Assistant Secretary for Health at HHS, argued Sunday that the 2.1 million figure is an underestimate due to delayed reporting. So let's be generous and say actually 4 million doses have been given out. That would still far fall short of the needed 3.5 million vaccinations needed per day. In fact, it falls far short of what the administration had promised to accomplish by the end of 2020, enough doses for 20 million people. So anyways, she says the federal government needs to take 3 urgent steps. First, set up a real-time public dashboard to track vaccine distribution. The public needs to know exactly how many doses are being delivered, distributed, and administered. Transparency will help hold the right officials accountable, as well as target additional resources where they are most needed. Second, publicize the plan for how vaccination will scale up so dramatically. Third, acknowledge the challenges and end the defensiveness. In the Biden administration will be taking over this problem soon. So, again, it's not going very fast, apparently. She doesn't say why that is, but, it's one thing to have the doses there. It's another. It's a very complex logistical process to get them to the states. Then the states have to give them to people. You have to figure out who gets them. The people have to show up to take them. Blah 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 blah. So it's just not going that fast right now. So I'm starting to. This is not. I've seen some other stories about this today. I'm just starting to see some stories about it. There's not that many doses available right now, by the way. I don't even know. There's only enough doses to cover, even if they had given out all the doses they had already in the US, it wouldn't cover hardly just a few percent of the population. Kristen Hansen says, I've always wanted to be a moderator. Well, we'd love to have more moderators. If you want to be a moderator, the thing you need to do is reach out to the moderators, and they can tell you where to get more information about that. But on Periscope, we're not taking more moderators now because Periscope itself is going to be done by the end of... Actually, we should. Kristen, if you want to, you should contact Linda. Lisa Cushman is there moderating, actually, right now. Lisa's moderating, too. But... actually, on Periscope, I will say this. Periscope's going to be around for a few more months. So if there is somebody who wants to moderate on Periscope for a few months, it wouldn't hurt to have another moderator. Linda's the person to talk to in Periscope. Thank you, Lisa, for moderating there as well. But you can ask the mods for more information on that. I don't know what's going to happen when Periscope goes away. I'm hoping that Twitter provides some way for me to do the broadcast directly to Twitter. Oh, Angie, I didn't even see you, Angie. Angie's moderating on Periscope too. Cool. I didn't even see you there. Awesome. Thank you. I can only see people in Periscope when they comment. So I don't know who's there. Angel Train says, I'm in the lawsuit against the pesticide product Roundup. Yeah, this Roundup has nothing to do with that. Thank you for watching, though. Angel Train. Hey, thanks for your support, Denise Horton. I appreciate that, Denise. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Yes, Mrs. Heminger, the first thing we discussed on the air today was the case of the new strain, new variant in Colorado. We discussed that. That's the first thing we discussed today. Already discussed it. Here's the Denver Post article. Craig Carlberg says, I'm not sure if Biden can ramp up the vaccination rate even if he implements his plan. Well, I don't know. I don't have a good sense of why the vaccination numbers right now are lagging behind what they were hoping they would be. You can imagine all different kinds of explanations for that. I don't know. Maybe there's just some logistical reasons that there's some holdups with the logistics of getting them where they need to go or something. I don't know. Maybe it's different in different states. You could have one issue in one state and another issue in another state. You can reach me at @Lookner on Twitter. There's still some aftershocks, it looks like, in Croatia. EMSC says 2.1. Just 9 minutes ago. This is the 37th felt earthquake in Croatia in the last 42 hours. Oh, I wanted to talk about Gislaine Maxwell, too, and the Nashville thing, too. this was kind of crazy. So we covered a couple days ago how there was like this guy driving a box truck, and he was supposedly playing like a recording that sounded similar to the recording that was playing on in the Nashville RV that exploded. And he scared a bunch of people, and then they pulled over the truck and they didn't find any explosives, but they arrested him. It turns out that the audio he was playing from his box truck was literally, he was playing a YouTube video of the Nashville explosion. So I guess the YouTube video probably had the recording from the actual RV on it. He was in his truck replaying the YouTube video and then broadcasting it out from his truck. That's what this story says. WKRN. Driver of suspicious box truck played recording of downtown Nashville bombing over PA system. Christian Polly says, that's what I thought happened. Oof. He was playing a YouTube video. On Sunday, somebody says WKRN, 33-year-old James Turgeon was arrested and charged with 2 counts of filing a false report and 1 count of tampering with evidence. I don't know what the filing a false report is about. Oh, the second false report charge was in connection to Turgeon playing similar audio. So I guess, I don't know why playing that audio leads to a filing false report charge. According to an affidavit, Turgeon drove past the King's Chapel Church when an announcement was made from his truck, stating patrons had 15 minutes to evacuate. During an interview with law enforcement, Turgeon said he pulled up a YouTube video of the Nashville bombing and played the recording. He then drove to the Crossroads Market and played the recording for roughly 14 seconds. I don't know what he played because I didn't hear any recording. I have not heard a recording of the RV when it said you have 15 minutes to evacuate. I've heard recordings of the RV saying, you got to evacuate now. So maybe there's something a little off here. Maybe one of the details is off. But basically, from what this looks like to me is that he just got a recording of the RV from YouTube and played that recording from his truck. He then drove to the Crossroads Market and played the recording for roughly 14 seconds. He allegedly disconnected the PA system's wires after he saw blue lights from police cars behind him. He had a PA system. It's so odd. Mark Starkiller says he thought it was funny. I don't know why he was doing it. He did it at a church and a market. He literally just played the same audio. Why is it called filing false report? I don't understand that. Filing a false report. If you decide to call the police and file a report, or if a fake crime against someone else will be considered a false police report. That's from Find Law. Maybe there's something about the law the way it is in Tennessee, that's the law that would apply. I wouldn't immediately think of filing a false report. Underdog Rising says, I still think you should have that right. Well, you can't. I'm guessing there's some law against telling people that there's going to be like an. Well, first of all, if he played the audio which says this has a bomb in it, then he's literally threatening people, right? If the audio he played from his truck said this truck has an explosive in it, he's threatening people, which I'm sure there's a law against. Castro says falsely reporting a bomb attack. I don't know how that works. It seems like that law would be more against calling the police and telling them something. But whatever, Mr. Weasel says it must be the act of informing the public. Tom says if someone reported the threat to the police because of his deception, he caused the false report. It's interesting. Again, I don't know how the law works there in Tennessee. But he literally just played the YouTube video. He just played the YouTube video. Boston, Mass. Says he falsely reported a bomb like yelling fire in a theater. But again, I don't know what the word report is supposed to mean in filing a false report. It might just mean tell the police. Norma Jean says, any news on the stimulus check? Right now, it doesn't look like the $2,000 one's going to pass the Senate at this point. I'll show you an update on that in a second. Alison Abbott says in the UK we have laws about wasting police time. Maybe it's something to do with that. Maybe it's something to do with that. Betty Nelson says maybe he was playing the song downtown. I don't know if he was. I used to live in Georgia, and I keep getting calls and texts about the Georgia election. Everybody, because people think I still live there, so they want me to go vote. So I'm getting all these volunteers calling me and texting me. And then yesterday I got a handwritten postcard. It was a handwritten postcard saying go vote. Hey Steve, go vote. It's just like somebody who got my name off a voter list, and they're like a volunteer for one of the campaigns. Literally a handwritten postcard, which means they're spending a lot of money on this. But I get the mail forwarded to me from my old address because I don't live there anymore. Crab Rain says they couldn't charge him for just being stupid. Wheelie says causing a disturbance is a charge they could have gotten with him with. Again, I don't know the different laws in Tennessee. Apparently they thought that was the best one. Oh, hold on. Update. Paper checks will begin to be mailed tomorrow. Paper checks will begin to be mailed tomorrow. Steve Herman posted this first. Somebody said, where are the checks? These are the $600 checks, if you get them. If you make enough money, you don't get it. So not everybody gets them. But paper checks will begin to be mailed tomorrow. That's from the Secretary of the Treasury. You can get the status of your payment at irs.gov, get my payment. Hey, thanks Rid Comics for your support. I appreciate that, Rid Comics. Yeah, thank you for the donations. Your donations are what allows me to do news coverage full time. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. And if you do want to support the channel with a donation, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. Thanks so much, Rid Comics. History Underfoot says not direct deposit. Oh, well, I think I'm guessing if it's like the last time, that some people will have direct deposit. It depends on whether you do it with your taxes and stuff. I don't know exactly. He said mailed. He said paper checks. So I'm guessing the direct deposit will go out, around the same time. get my payment. You can read all about it. Although, is this for the new one? Well, that's the latest information. Yeah, a lot of people, I think, get it by direct deposit. What is part 1 of his tweet? Says Brandon Johnson. Good question. U.S. Treasury has delivered a payment file to Federal Reserve for Americans' economic impact payments. These payments may begin to arrive in some accounts by direct deposit as early as tonight and will continue into next week. I'll retweet this one too. So he's not threading his tweets. He didn't thread his tweets. See, he should have just done the second one as a reply to the first one. But anyways, direct deposit as early as tonight and continue into next week. Paper checks will begin to be mailed tomorrow. Chill says, do we have to wait for Trump's name to be printed on them? I don't know if President Trump's name is going to be on these, like they were the last ones. Ibby Dibby says, we want more. Ryder says, I get it. It's the old checks in the mail. Julie Aiken, you only get a check, the $600 check or any check from the direct payment if your income is under a certain amount. I want to say you only get the full $600 if your income is roughly speaking under $75,000 or something like that, and then it kind of like once you get to like in the 80s or something, 80s or 90s, it kind of the more you make, it goes away, and then at a certain point, if you hit like 80 or 85 or 90 or something like that, I think it just goes away and you don't get any. It's income based. Chris Houlihan says, where did it go? If you had direct last time, you will have it this time. I'm not sure about it, but it sounds reasonable to me. Shaggy says, that's the end of the free money and the vaccine for the masses won't arrive until the fall. Yeah, I do agree with Shaggy. It just seems to me that the estimates I've seen is that like maybe 30% of the U.S. will get vaccinated by end of March. Hopefully that it sticks to that. But yeah, I'm not anticipating personally getting a vaccine till like late in the year. Guru Gahan says, hope everyone's having a good night. Hey, Roxanne is there moderating in our Facebook chat. Thank you, Roxanne. Susan Jones says, I thought it was $2,000. No. The bill is $600 that was passed. And then President Trump said he wanted $2,000. If President Trump had just pushed, if President Trump, before the bill had been done, before the bill got signed, remember, the bill took months to negotiate. President Trump's own representatives negotiated the bill and said he would sign it. And that the negotiation yielded $600. And then after the bill was signed by Congress, both houses of Congress, President Trump then said, oh, no, we need $2,000. If he had before insisted on $2,000, I think he could have gotten it. But he's doing it after the fact now, and it doesn't look like the House has approved it, but I don't think the Senate will. That's what it's looking like. Trump leans on McConnell for $2,000 checks amid GOP resistance. The Senate Majority Leader blocked a Democratic proposal to boost payments and has said little about his plans. This is from Politico. President Trump tweeted that the GOP has a death wish if it doesn't approve 2,000 stimulus checks before he leaves office. But so far, Mitch McConnell isn't showing his hand. McConnell blocked Democrats' long-shot bid to immediately increase the direct payments on Tuesday and gave only a vague commitment to tackling the issue on the Senate floor. He adjourned the Senate for the day without divulging his personal position on higher checks, even as Trump publicly lobbied him on the issue. McConnell did introduce a bill that would both increase the payments and repeal legal protections for social media companies, a proposal that, if voted on, has no chance of becoming law, but is being pushed by Trump. McConnell also could bring up the House-passed $2,000 check proposal. Basically, he's the one who has to decide whether the Senate votes on it. We'll see what happens. Vivian says McConnell has put a bill out for $2,000 checks but added a poison pill that won't get passed. Yeah, Fairy Goddess, the Senate hasn't voted on it. But it doesn't look like right now they're going to pass it. Red Comics says the U.S. is printing money and this will cause a devaluation in the dollar plus add trillions to the national debt, sadly. Evalis says it's a stalemate right now. Darren Thompson thinks next month it will be about the record evictions. Well, didn't the federal eviction moratorium get extended in the new bill? Yeah, Vox. The COVID relief bill has saved up to 40 million people from eviction for now. The federal government has extended the moratorium and will give out $25 billion in rent relief. The eviction moratorium was extended by 1 month until the end of January. Now, we'll see if that gets continued or not. The prohibition on kicking people out of their homes for not paying rent is an important safeguard. In August, the Aspen Institute warned that up to 40 million Americans were at risk of eviction this year if economic conditions remained unchanged. But eviction moratoriums are a band-aid solution that doesn't address the root cause of not being able to pay rent. It's significant then that Congress included $25 billion in renters' assistance. The $25 billion in renter assistance will be sent to states to disperse as they see fit. Depending on where you live, you might have to apply for the assistance to a state or local relief agency. Still, there's a lot more that needs to be done if America is going to prevent a financial catastrophe from the bottom end of the rental market. Stout, a global advisory consulting firm, estimates at least $25 billion would be owed come January. That might now be covered, but this economist put the figure even higher, estimating that up to $70 billion could be owed by year's end. Of next year? Or this year? There are also second-order effects on landlords who aren't getting money that they need. A good chunk of affordable housing in America is owned by individual investors or mom and pop landlords. President Biden, who hasn't announced his position on a national ban on evictions, will have the opportunity to extend the eviction moratorium without congressional approval when he is sworn in. We'll see what he does. But once widespread vaccination is a reality and the public health cost of evictions decreases, tens of millions of renters could lose eviction protections and still owe thousands to landlords. It's a stark example of the K-shaped recovery that is spurred on a booming housing market as the bottom end of the rental market sees the floor fall from beneath it. That is from Vox. They've been doing some good coverage of the rental stuff, the eviction stuff. Cheryl Puente says she is getting the Pfizer vaccine tomorrow morning. Good news. I just had a relative get it in the last day. History Underfoot likes the format. I'm glad. Give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter. Let me know your thoughts on these stories as we do News Roundup. Hey, thanks Tony Rayner for the Facebook stars. I appreciate that, Tony. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yes, Kathy Van Pelt. If the Senate approved $2,000 payments, then I assume you'd have the $600 checks go out first, and then the $1,400 checks go out later, to people who qualify for them. Crispy says, I can't wait until my family gets the vaccine. I might have to drug a few to convince them, though. We should talk about Gislaine Maxwell. Mayor Hart says, do you think we will be back to normal by summer or maybe next fall? Not by summer, because I don't think enough people in the U.S. will have taken the vaccine. So, I mean, will things maybe be a little more normal? It depends on how many people get vaccinated. I don't know exactly how it's all going to go. But there's a big difference between like a third of the population having taken the vaccine and 2/3 of the population. That's a big difference. So it really depends. Personally, I think summer there's still going to be a lot of people who haven't taken it. Lithrone thinks it's going to be another long year. Hey, Norichiri is using their agenda-free TV mug. I'm glad you enjoy it. Zazzle.com is where you get the mugs. Z-A-Z-Z-L-E. Zazzle.com. You can usually find a coupon for Zazzle if you search around online. See Zazzle.com. Ooh, 21% off mugs. See right there. Z-A-Z-Z-L-E. Christian Pollock says there's also the question of what normal will look like. Yeah, if people get the vaccine, but there's still like a slight chance, the vaccine isn't 100% effective. It's not supposed to be 100%. The vaccines aren't supposed to be 100% effective, over 90% effective. But if there's like a chance, so if I take the vaccine and from my understanding, like there's a very small chance I still might get the virus, I might get the disease, how is that going to affect my behavior? I don't know. Sweetie B says it will be interesting to see if large crowds such as concerts, baseball games will be allowed. Yep. Yes, as Lynn Downey points out, agenda-free Amazon Prime has agenda-free TV agenda-free TV T-shirts. A Dallas girl says, I don't think we'll ever be back to what normal was. Little Boo Radley says, where does the average Joe get the vaccine? Well, we'll see, but I'm guessing it'll be just stores like CVS and Walgreens, that kind of thing will be a place you can get it. I know they're going to be doing it. Debbie likes the news roundup. I'm glad. Little Boo Radley says, maybe there will be stimulus part 3 after Biden in office. We will see. Marie Whitmore says, we do not know how long the vaccine will protect for. That is true. Nosy Rosie sent me this. Timothy Brown, wanted in the double murder of his ex-girlfriend and her baby girl, is barricaded in a house in Velda City. I don't really know much about this story. I've seen some headlines. Oh, let's see here. KMOV. The man accused of killing his ex-girlfriend and their daughter has barricaded himself inside a North County home. Terrible. Devotee thinks he'll be getting booster shots every couple of years. Hold on a second here. Hang on. What is this? Sharon Williams says, will you see what they say about Moderna vaccine? AC Life sent me this. I don't know what this is. From Meg Terrell, Moderna says it's providing vaccine to, is it its workers? I'm confused. Let's see. To provide an additional layer of COVID protection as Moderna workers conduct essential services. They say they're giving their vaccine to their own workers, contractors, and board members. That's what they're saying. Okay. So I guess some people might be like, they're essential workers. Others might be like, well, they're not first responders. They're not health workers. I don't know. So I'm just seeing that right now. I could see an argument being made to that their workers are essential. Moderna to offer its COVID vaccine to workers, contractors, and board. I don't know that their work itself, well, they do have to go to work, but I don't know that the work itself, shouldn't expose them to more chance of getting the virus. But, maybe this is really about just them rewarding their employees. The Cambridge Mass company has about 1,200 employees, says Wall Street Journal, and said the small quantities of vaccine needed for the program are separate from the millions of doses they committed to the U.S. government. I mean, my guess is that it's just like we're going to give it to our workers. That's my guess, is that they're just, doing it for their workers. I'm thinking one sec says, gotta keep staff motivated. Maria says, board members should not be above frontline workers. Christian says, I feel like those who make the vaccine kind of deserve to get it, to be honest. It's not a huge amount of people in the big scheme of things. Okay, you can give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner. Ashley says, you make it, you deserve to get it. Oh, I still haven't talked about Gislaine Maxwell yet. I got to talk about Gislaine Maxwell. Let's talk about her. Hang on a second here. Oh, sorry about that. Jessica McBride said, $600 stimulus most people will use to pay a bill that's past due or coming up. Judge rejects Gislaine Maxwell's $28.5 million bail package. She is accused of, she was very close to Jeffrey Epstein. She's charged with being involved in his sexual crimes against, underage girls, basically. New York Post, a federal judge shot down Gislaine Maxwell's proposed $28.5 million bail package, saying she still believes the accused Jeffrey Epstein madam is a flight risk. Shortly after Maxwell's arrest in July, the same judge refused to release her to home confinement on a $5 million bond, calling her financial declarations cagey and raising concerns over her holding a UK and French passport. In a desperate bid to get her sprung from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, Maxwell's lawyers submitted the massive bail package that she said represents all of the assets held by her and her husband. She has repeatedly complained about the unbearable conditions in lockup. She is charged with recruiting and grooming 3 girls to be sexually abused by her and Epstein, and lying about it to authorities. December 7th, Gislaine Maxwell losing her hair from onerous imprisonment lawyers. I'm sure it's not fun being there. Her lawyers say conditions for her in jail are so tough that the accused pedophile procurer is losing her hair and is wasting away to skin and bone, says New York Post. She has lost over 15 pounds and she is sustaining hair loss. Her lawyers have frequently complained about the onerous quote unquote terms of her confinement, including frequent strip searches, being awoken every 15 minutes by a flashlight at night to ensure she's still alive, and countless meals consisting of no more than bread and butter. Gislaine Maxwell, her lawyers said a month ago she's being woken up every 15 minutes in jail to prevent suicide. I don't know if that's true. Her lawyers are saying that. What is her trial going to be? When is the trial? That I don't know. She was arrested in July. Now, a lot of people, don't spend this much time in jail waiting for trial, but they're not letting her out because they're worried she's a flight risk, right? They consider her such a flight risk, they're not going to let her out. Someone else might, put up a bond and they say, okay, go home until your trial. But they're not doing that with her. But now she's been in there since July. Trial will be interesting. Remember, the Jeffrey Epstein never went on trial because he died. Michael Squires says, what about the poor victims? They will never be free from what she was a part of. Rizzle, so we talked about the story before where Moderna is basically giving its workers and its board members, basically everybody who works there, it seems like they're getting access to the vaccine. Moderna makes the vaccine. Rizzle says, feels like having board members of Moderna fall under the umbrella of those who made the vaccine is a real kick in the teeth to actual scientists and frontline staff who need it more. That's what Rizzle says. Thanks again to our moderators, Melissa, Alicia, Sarah55, Sarah Joy, Lynn G. Lisa Cushman, Angie, Idaho Star, thank you for moderating there. Our Facebook's mods too, Roxanne Becky. When is that trial? I do not know. Oh, it's July. The trial begins in July. Look at this. The Guardian. Trial scheduled to begin in July. So she will be in jail for a year before the trial even begins. And you might say that's unfair. But the thing is, she's considered given the charges against her and the degree to which she's considered a flight risk, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. The court concludes that no conditions of release can reasonably assure the defendant's appearance at future proceedings. So, because she hasn't been convicted of anything, right? You might say, that's not fair. She has to wait a year in jail before her trial, before she's convicted. But this is not a common thing, right? With her situation. The court is really concerned that if she gets out, she'll find it with her access to money and whatever else, she'll find a way to leave the country. But she'll end up being in jail for a year, and that's supposed to be a bad jail where she's staying too. She'll end up being there for a year before the trial even starts. She hasn't been convicted of anything. Underdog thinks not a single person who committed these vile crimes will pay for it. July 2021, a year. Christina Pollock Kirchner says she could have demanded a speedy trial. That's interesting. I don't know if she could have. I don't know if she had a choice in that. Sarah Stillwell says, our office has clients sitting in jail for longer than that before a trial. Whatever she can do a year, just saying. All right, so let's see, what is this? All right, we'll cover a couple more stories here. Give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter if you have comments, questions, updates. That's where you can reach me. Join the news roundup. Red Comics says, right now, prison may be the safest place she could be. Many people don't want her to talk. This was interesting. I was wondering, I saw this interesting article today. I don't really know what to make of this. There's a lot of people who go to Florida for like the winter who don't live there permanently. And I guess Florida would like them to be able to get the vaccine in Florida. Ooh, what happened here? I thought I could see this. Hang on. Let's see if I can get this article here. Hang on. Now I can't see the article. Here it is. Can snowbirds get the vaccine in Florida? It's complicated. That's the critical question retirees are trying to figure out before they decide to winter in Florida. So there's this question of like, if you go to Florida for a few months, like every year, can you get the vaccine? And you're an older person, could you get the vaccine like when you're down there? Tampa Bay Times. Every winter, retirees from the Northeast and Midwest head to the warmth of Florida, occupying seasonal homes and condos, but 2021 isn't like years past. This year, snowbirds are weighing a new consideration. Where am I more likely to get the vaccine? That's a complicated question in Florida, with little clear direction from the state. Hospitals in South Florida have been given considerable leeway in deciding how they give the vaccine doses out. In Miami-Dade and Broward County, some hospitals want a proof of local residency. But Jared Moskowitz, director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, told Miami Herald on Tuesday there's no residency requirement. So I'm sure Florida wants the people to come down and stay for the winter, right? So there's like an economic reason for Florida to say, you can get the vaccine even if you're not a permanent resident of Florida. But also then you have people maybe getting it who don't even live in Florida faster than people who do live in Florida. It's an interesting issue. Also, I would think you need to, wouldn't you want to, you wouldn't want to allow someone to just come here and get it, come here for like a 3-day vacation and get it, right? You don't want, I don't think you'd want to have somebody come from another state on a 3-day vacation to Florida and then get their vaccine and then go back where they're from. Ashley says, I don't think Snowbirds should get the vaccine before the locals. It's an interesting question. Cam says, locals first as a Floridian. Elizabeth G says, they said today in Manatee County, Snowbirds must be here for 28 days for the booster. Oh, it is true that they would have to get 2 shots. If you go and get 1 shot, it doesn't really, you need to get 2 shots. So you wouldn't just go down to get 1 shot. She says they cannot transfer the records to another state. Hey, thank you, Mr. Showtime. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Mr. Showtime. I appreciate the donation. Mr. Showtime says they're giving the vaccine here at one store pharmacy, they're giving both vaccine here at one store pharmacy, other at the hospital. They told us to make an appointment. I don't know where Mr. Showtime is. I can't tell if Mr. Showtime has gotten the vaccine. Sounds like he's saying that there are, it's different different local cities and towns and states. They decide how to do it there in the U.S. Thank you again, Mr. Showtime. Much appreciated. Kameshwari Kate says Canadian snowbirds who are not going to California, Arizona, or Florida are now coming to British Columbia, specifically Vancouver Island. A Dallas girl says they should have to wait residents first. See, again, it's like a political problem because I'm sure they're an important part of the economy in Florida. So there's a lot of politics involved here, right? It's just an interesting issue I hadn't thought about. Okay, let's see here. Thank you again to all of our moderators. Lynn G. Sarah Joy, Sarah. 55. Melissa Alicia. Lisa Cushman, Roxanne Betke. Angie, Linda Belk. Idaho Star. Thank you. You are watching the live news roundup. This is, we're doing this, well, it's on Agenda Free TV on all the platforms except YouTube. On YouTube, it's Agenda Free TV 2 because I have 2 channels on YouTube compared to 1 on the other platforms. So trying out this format, we've done it probably 6 or 7 times recently. I'm getting some good feedback on it. So I'll keep doing it. I really like doing the format. So if I can, if people like it and they watch and they donate, then I will keep doing it because I do like the format. We'll just have to see how it goes, but I do like doing the format. So we're doing this a little more lately here. And then if there's like big news that happens, like yesterday we were doing this, and then the video got released from the body cam video from Nashville got released. So we actually just jumped over to Agenda Free TV 1 and started a new video. Lithrone likes the format. So does Daniel. Oh, yes. Katie says, are you on Agenda or Lookner for New Year's Eve? Probably on Agenda Free TV for New Year's Eve. I will be doing the usual New Year's Eve stream. By the way, news executive, who I trust, says Syrian air defense is activated on the outskirts of Damascus as local reports claim of an Israeli military strike. Yeah, this happens once in a while in Syria. A lot of times Israel targets Iranian forces that are in Syria. So I assume that might be going on now. Mr. Showtime likes the format. Craig likes the format. I Hear Crickets already reported on that story. First story we reported on today. I already tweeted about it too. Katie says, January will be my 1-year anniversary of watching the channel. Thank you for watching. We will be doing... Oh, hey, thank you, Shane M. Shane M says, why 2 different agenda-free TVs for YouTube? Shane, you can watch, there's a whole video where I explain this. There's a whole video on agenda-free TV, which I will direct you towards, Shane M. That's agenda-free TV 2 on YouTube. No, we want channels. Agenda-free TV. And if you go here and you look up channel, introducing agenda-free TV 2, second channel, more coverage. Basically, the basic reason is that Agenda Free TV is an established channel, and a lot of people have signed up to subscribe to Agenda Free TV on YouTube. And they kind of expect, breaking news coverage of big stories. And I wanted to do some smaller stories and do different stuff like this. But, I don't want to, force people to watch stuff that they didn't sign up for. So I thought this would be a good channel to have to, try some different kinds of stuff. But, there might be people who subscribe to Agenda Free TV who don't really want to watch the news roundup or don't really want to watch a story about a small news story, or sometimes we'll cover a storm that's not even a hurricane yet. So sometimes there's smaller stories. So I just thought it'd be good to have a second channel to do those kind of things, because you don't want people signing up for one thing and then giving them another thing. I've talked about trying this on Agenda Free TV, and maybe I will, but I kind of like having agenda-free TV for just kind of the bigger stories. Hey, thank you, Shane M, for your support. I really appreciate that. Elint News says, Israelis targeting western countryside of Damascus, Syria. Canadian Sunset likes discussing several different news items on the same broadcast. James Mitchell says, I wish the channel had a different name. Well, it's Agenda Free TV too. Smaller Stories channel, says Alexi. Name it Smaller Stories channel. I'm going to cover a couple more things and then I'm going to have to eat. A couple more things and then I have to eat. There's an article today in the LA Times, LA County hospitals turn away ambulances, put patients in gift shop. At LA County USC Medical Center, the breaking point came Sunday night. There was not one available bed for at least 30 patients who needed intensive care or intermediate levels of care. And the hospital had to shut its doors to all ambulance traffic for 12 hours. Wow. Some patients, including the very sick who required intensive oxygen, experienced wait times as long as 18 hours to get into the intensive care unit. Hospitals are so inundated that they've resorted to placing patients in conference rooms and gift shops. But even so, many facilities are running out of space. Virtually all hospitals in LA County are being forced to defer ambulances with certain types of patients elsewhere during most hours. There's the California hospitalizations numbers, not good. California virus hospitalizations. Then they have an article in the LA Times about oxygen shortages at LA County hospitals too. That was today. If I can find that. Yeah, there's this. Oxygen supply shortages bedevil hospitals already overwhelmed by COVID patients. You can read that at LA Times. By the way, I do have another channel, a personal channel as well. That's only on YouTube, and I do a bunch of videos there. So if you don't know and you want to check it out, I frequently do non-news videos on my personal channel. So if you go here and you go to Lookner on YouTube, Lookner, there it is.
Whoa, what?
Whoa, that's me. So check that out as well. Chris Houlihan says, looks like over 330,000 deaths at the moment. It might be even over 340,000 in the U.S. Now 500,000 might be close. But with the vaccine, maybe things will shift after the holidays. Yeah, the actual number in the U.S., if you go to Worldometer, is Worldometer says it's 346,000. All right. I think we're getting to that point. We're getting to that point where I am going to have to eat soon. I'm going to have to eat lunch soon. Mike Van Halle says, I wish my wife and I could get vaccinated now. We're in our early 70s but live in Tennessee. We have friends who got their first shot today in Florida. Yeah, I think in Florida it's 65 or over. People can get it. In other states it's different. It's not like that in Massachusetts. I know that because my mom can't get it yet. My guess is in Florida, it's like there's a lot of older people there, so I'm guessing there's a political decision too to have it be, a lower age, 65 and over. Sun Sentinel. See, the hospital system, Broward Health, will begin COVID vaccinations for people over 65 on Wednesday. So in some states, if you're 60, in Florida, if you're 60, 66, you can go get a vaccine now. But not in a lot of other states. Yeah, all right. I think it's getting to be time. I need to eat something. I know my schedule is late. My schedule is running late today, but that's why I need to eat. That's why I need to eat. If there's big news tonight, we'll do another stream on Agenda Free TV. If there's no news, maybe I'll do a stream on my personal channel. So, but I'm gonna wrap up this news roundup stream. I do appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching the stream, everyone. Thanks for coming by. And subscribe to the channel. This is Agenda Free. Well, it depends on what platform you're watching. If you're on not YouTube, subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. If you're on YouTube, this is Agenda Free TV too. So subscribe to that and Agenda Free TV, two different channels. So subscribe. Hey, I'll post news on my Twitter, @Lookner. @Lookner on Twitter. @Lookner on Twitter. Follow me there. That's where I post breaking news. All right. Thanks to the moderators. Give it up for them. They're all volunteers. Thank you, mods. They are fantastic. Melissa Alicia, Mark Helton, Sarah Joy, Sarah55, thank you, thank you, thank you. Lynn G. We had Linda Belk, Lisa Cushman, Angie in our Facebook chat. Roxanne Becky on, oh no, I'm in Periscope. Roxanne Becky on Facebook. Idaho Star in our Twitch chat. Thanks to all the moderators. And Daily Disclosure. Let the mods know if you have any interest in being a moderator. We can always use more moderators. That would be awesome. So let the mods know. They can tell you how to get new information. And thanks to everybody who donated. That is what allows me to do these broadcasts, is your support. That's how I can do this. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you. That includes the Facebook stars. Tony Rayner. Oh, thank you, Tony. And Yelena Murphy. Tony says, been here a year since New Zealand volcano through coronavirus, the protests, earthquakes, explosions, election. Thank you, Tony Rayner. That's very kind of you. Appreciate your support there in Facebook. Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Jennifer Tower, for sending me the news tips. I didn't get to any of those today. Well, some of them I already covered, Jennifer, but thank you for sending them in. Let's see here. If you want to support the channel with a donation and allow me to continue to do this, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv, but thank you. All right. Yeah, we will be doing a New Year's Eve stream, yes, on Agenda Free TV, I think. Hey, thanks for watching Fairy Goddess, a Dallas Girl, Debbie in the Periscope chat. Thank you. Yeah, we already covered the story about the first reported case of the UK strain in the US. We covered that. Just rewind the video. You'll see it at the start. We spent a bunch of time on it. Jen Toby, thank you for watching. Thanks to all of our Periscope viewers. Christian Montoya in Facebook. Gretchen Elizabeth, Sarah Stillwell. Heather Olsby Rich. Joshua Harmon. Andy Thomas. Gretchen Elizabeth. Betty Nelson. John Harvey. Roxanne, thank you for watching and moderating. Roxanne Becky. Twilla McCord. And all of our Facebook viewers. Thanks to our Twitch viewers. Mancubus. Kat Spalding, thank you. Shaggy. Captain Spalding, that's what it is. Old Ledge. Living Room. Chris Houlihan. Shaggy. Christmas Snow. Mini Panda, Crispy, and all of our other Twitch viewers. Thanks for watching there. Madison G says, full moon peaks at 10:30 at night, also known as cold moon. It was very bright last night. And thanks to our YouTube viewers, Lukey, Tammy, Going South, Regina, Arizona Jumper, Madison G, Baby Shark, Underdog Rising, Can Aiken, Rid Comics, Paula Faust. Tammy, we may have a stream on the personal channel tonight after I eat. Shrubby, History Underfoot. Lithrone, Cryptician. Geologist. Doug Rabbit. Don Pratt. Hyde. Mr. Showtime. Mark Starkiller. Cats Go Nuts. H. Cobb. Kristen Polly. Camp. Sarah Blackwood. Ryder. Craig Carlberg. Smedley. Canadian Sunset. Alexi. Nellie H. Fahrenheit 451. All right. And all the lurkers, as Mark Helton says, all the lurkers. All right. We are going to wrap up this live stream. Mr. Flintstone, yes, that's true. We talked about it earlier in the broadcast. You can rewind the broadcast to the beginning and you'll see us talking about it. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up this live stream. Just do a quick news check to make sure nothing crazy is happening. Yep, we're wrapping it up. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to go get something to eat, and we will see you soon with more live news coverage here at Agenda Free TV and Agenda Free TV 2. And until I see you next time, have a good one.